All right. So building intimacy in marriage. Usually I like it interactive, so I'm going to be asking questions from time to time. Please feel free to pop your question, your comment in the comment section. I'll find a way to read it. Usually when you have your stuff, you might not be able to read. Okay, I think yeah. I'll find a way to be able to read the comments. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know how to read the comments. So let me just ask generally, before I go into my introduction. When you hear the word intimacy, what comes to your mind? Intimacy. What comes to your mind? Let me just open the chat box. The word intimacy, what comes to your mind? Connection, fantastic. My sister, Bolanle, good to see you. Emotional connection, very important. Yes. Okay, another person? Yeah, good to see you too. Oneness, fantastic. Unhindered communion, fantastic. Closeness, transparency, trust, understanding, deep knowing, unhindered communion. In other words, just straight on, fantastic. Yes, all of you are just hitting the nail on the head, like they say. All right, fantastic. And that's basically what intimacy means. So today I'm going to be discussing, also sharing our own definition of what it is, talking about why it is important. Now, I know we're all on different places. For those of you who are not married, it's something that when we have a coaching session for single ladies that we work with, one of the sessions, because for 8 weeks, one of the sessions we ask them to spot where they are, and then the next session will be envision where they want to be. So we get them to do a detailed creation of the kind of marriage they want. From the time they wake up in the morning to the time they go to bed at night. The reason why we do that is for them to have clarity, because the clearer your view is about what you want, the faster you accomplish it. That's from our own experience. All right, so what this class will do for you is to help you to gain clarity about the kind of marriage. Someone says something that they hired a group of bank tellers, people at the till, and they were they were teaching them how to spot counterfeit money. And so by the time he was completing the course, he said they never showed them an example of a counterfeit money. And he was waiting. We did all these classes on recognizing counterfeit money, but not a single example of counterfeit money was shown. All they were talking about was the original, how to recognize the original, what to look out for. So, and that's very instructive, that sometimes the best way to know what is right is to teach people on the right, to know the wrong thing is to teach people the right thing. So once you see the right thing, you will know what you want and you will not settle for less. That's very important. That's for those who are single. For those who are married, who are having one or two challenges, the general thing most people want to do is to blame their spouse. Or if I marry this guy, that or that guy, maybe things would be different. But one thing we've come to see is that any relationship you have, two people create it, two people make it work. Two people have brought it to this point. Why? Because it is who we are that will bring into a relationship. If you're unhealthy emotional, maybe because of trauma, something that someone has done to you in the past, and you're not even aware, you've forgotten that you've not moved past that emotion, it's going to impact your present relationship, because one way or the other, you might be projecting those mindset and those expectations on your present spouse. And he will be reacting that because as you are evolving, your spouse cannot stay the same. There has to be a shift. It's going to be a zigzag. All right. So you might want to see or listen to some of the things that you might need to make an adjustment. Sometimes just a little adjustment that can produce huge results. It's the concept of Pareto principle. The 20% that produce 80% of the results. For those who are having a blast already in their marriage, no matter how good it is, there is always an extra thing you can do. Why? Because marriage, we say, is a living organism. It's a living organism. So in other words, it has a life of its own. When you stop nurturing it, it's like a flower, like plants. When you stop nurturing it, it begins to emanciate. Even though it was beautiful, when you first got it, to begin to shrink. Why? Because you have to keep nurturing. So we say marriage is a living organism. How you nurture it determines how it grows. So I'm just saying that to say that wherever you are, there is something for you for this session. So I've already talked about who this is for. So I'll just quickly emphasize one or two things. So couples who don't want to grow apart. So one of the things that impact when people lack intimacy is that they notice that they begin to grow apart in terms of mental connection, in terms of emotional connection, spiritual connection. Like this person they are both in the same physical space, but they are in different emotional worlds. All right. They go to, they sleep probably sometimes, some of them even sleep on the same bed, but for some reason, they're just living parallel lives. Like they say in maths, that two parallel lines, they don't meet, they don't connect. Intimacy is connection, like someone said. And that connection, we're going to be sharing different dimensions of it as we go along. So also, couples who don't want to grow apart, probably they've seen it work out, happen into their marriage, to their parents or their guardian, whoever they grew up with, and they said, you know what, I don't want this to happen to me. But it's not adequate for you to say, I don't want this to happen to me. You need to know what to do to be able to create a different results. Because one thing I've learned is that if you are focusing on something, say that I don't want this, for some reason, you keep attracting that thing you say you don't want, because that's what you're focusing on all the time. So we're going to be discussing some of the things that we need to focus on. Then couples who want to change their family tree. So peradventure, you've come from a family where they have like a stigma around the family that, none of their marriages last for some reason. And they have ascribed it to only spiritual. Yes, there is a spiritual part of things and there is the wisdom part of things, which we like to say Christ is the wisdom and the power of God. So the power of God is the place where you pray, where you break every limitations or anything that is hindering you. That's also the wisdom of God. That's why the Bible says Jesus Christ grew in wisdom and in stature. All right. There is a wisdom part that's going in the wisdom. Wisdom is ability to apply knowledge, to know what to do per time, to know. We say wisdom is knowing what to do next. So you are in a terrible marital situation, knowing what to do next. That's wisdom. Okay. So who are we? All right. So my amazing sister have already talked about who we are, and our passion is about helping couples to build, connect hearts. Once they connect heart, that is intimacy. All right. Raise healthy families. What do we mean by healthy families? We have a vision to create homes where each individual will be healthy, because when people are emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, they are able to create a safe environment for children to thrive, all right? For spouses, for their spouse to thrive. One thing you will notice when a woman is having a blast, wonderful romantic experience, wonderful intimacy with her husband, that's the way she looks. The woman seems always glows. Like again, I would say, I like to use the example of a plant, right? Because as a man, which we have men here as well, you are the husband. The husband is someone who enters the life of a woman to cultivate, to enhance, to bring out the best version of which she is. All right. So like this, that I'm watering this on a regular basis, exposing it to sunlight. That is me trying to create, helping it to be the best version of this plant that it can be. Same thing for marriage, same thing for family. All right. So when the individuals are healthy in the way they think, in the way they see marriage, in the way they see their spouse, they are able to create healthy families. Okay. And when they create healthy families, then they can now begin to think about the purpose of their marriage, because we think marriage is not just a means to an end. It's not just an end in itself, rather. It's a means to an end. In other words, I'm not just married for the sake of being married. Like sometimes society will ask a woman, you are now 28, you are now 27, you are now 31. Where is the guy? When are we going to drink this? When are we going to eat this kind of question that very annoying, intrusive question that they ask in some of our communities. All right. So it's not just for the sake of having a man or changing your name. Every family, every marriage have a purpose. God gives a purpose. God designs a purpose and then goes ahead to create it for us to work in it. So for your marriage right now, for your family, there is a purpose. So once you have that intimacy, there is a connection between the two of you. You guys are in a better place to be able to begin to realize the purpose of your marriage. Once there is conflict and disconnection, most people are trying to protect their own territory. Most people are having conflict. That's not the time for them to be able to think about building synergy, to be able to create something that God will want them to do. That's why one of the reasons why Israel prospered a lot during the time of Solomon was because there was a lot of peace. So come and strive. Like the Bible will say, say, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, for in its peace you shall have peace, or something. Peace also means shalom. It also means prosperity as well, right? So very important. Once there is intimacy and connection, couples will thrive. There are things that you are struggling with, all right? There are prayers that are being hindered. It's just because things are not working correctly at home. All right, so how do we do this? We run seminars, workshops, all right? We have workshop where we do practical sessions where couples will actually engage in activities, all right? If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see a lot of our examples. We have coaching. Why do we use coaching? Because coaching, we don't believe that every time coaching is slightly different from counseling. Like a lot of you here are professionals, you know the difference. So it's where you help couples so they come up with their own solutions, and that helps them to stay committed. But some people need counseling. Some people need to be told step by step, and that works for them. So we have talk shows, we have retreats as well, where I've seen you guys do a lot of retreats where you come away. We've noticed that retreats are very powerful, where people just come away from the distracted environment, from the busyness, from the noise, from remove the cap of a mom or cap of a wife, just come away and have a blast, have a nice time with God, to rediscover themselves. Very, very important. And then we have a YouTube where I'm going to be referring you guys much later for those who want to follow us and learn more of what we do and connect with us and even pick one or two things along the way. Okay, so introduction. I think someone's mic is on. Okay, so I'll just go on. All right, so introduction. Now, how do you know when you're not having an intimate marriage? These are the experiences you're likely to have. You're going to feel distant from your spouse. You guys are not quarreling. There are no issues, per se, no particular issue, but there's just this emotional distance. All right? You are remote, more like remote working. Do your thing and do my thing. I don't want to shout. Kind of. You are estranged. That's you can't be yourself in his presence. You have to be guarded. You don't want to say something that's going to be used against you. All right? You feel apart. You feel alienated when he's making decision or when he's doing something that is very important. You don't feel carried along. All right? Or you're even separated. Separated, you're just everybody just in their own different camp. I stumbled on this statistics when I was preparing for putting this slide together. Now, it said divorce rate for opposite sex couples is highest for men age 45 to 49. All right, age 49. So most men between the age of 45 to 49, this research found out that a lot of men begin to file for divorce within this. For women, between 40 and 44. This is likely to reflect in the fact that, of course, men usually marry younger women. So plus minus within the same time is when it happens. 60% of the opposite sex marriage end before the 20th wedding anniversary. So I was listening to somebody that I think the person is a coach, a relationship coach, and he said something. He said it takes a lifetime to know a successful marriage. And at first he sounded, and I thought about it, that it's actually true. In other words, marriage is a lifelong project.
Have you written it?
Okay. Marriage is a lifelong project. It's a lifelong project. All right. So now people may be wondering, so why? Because even some people who have been hanging in there for 20 years, you wondering, oh, these people are having it together. That's why when people say, oh, we are now 15 years in marriage, we are 20, I like that a lot. I celebrate that. I clap. But more than that, I like to know the quality of the experience of the couple. It's more important for me. All right. So it's not that, oh, I've been doing this job for 15 years. All right. There are people who, a lot of us are in the United Kingdom, but some of us who came from Africa, you probably know that some people, there are some artisans that do something since you were in high school or in primary school. They've been doing one particular work. You just know, you see the man by the corner shop. But 20 years later, I've been doing the thing. They've trained all the children from there. But the quality of his work has not really improved. So sometimes it's not the duration of how long you've been married, but you're doing something that makes you an expert or makes you have, have results. It's the quality and the impact All right. We had a seminar not long ago, and then one person who had been married for 19 years, he said this is the first time for 19 years that I ever attended a marriage ceremony. First time. All right. So what does that say? Sometimes, I'm not saying that this marriage is bad. I'm only saying that sometimes people don't push themselves to get more information to improve what they already have. Okay, so that brings us to our own definition of intimacy. All right. I've highlighted some words in red for emphasis. So intimacy is a state of emotional safety. For you to talk about being intimate with your spouse, there has to be emotional safety. Emotional safety is when it can be silly. By silly, I mean you can let down your head, like you say. You can let down your guard without feeling that someone is going to take advantage of you. And how do you let down your guard? Sometimes you just share your mistakes, you share your dreams, you share your aspirations, you share your concerns at work, and you don't feel someone telling you, or using, ability to be emotionally safe. Very important. Which creates, so when there is an emotional safety, that triggers another effect, which is an ambience of deep and meaningful connection. One of you posted that when I was asking when you think about intimacy, what the deep and unhindered connection. Somebody said, this one is connection, mean deep and meaningful. Deep means below the surface. There are some friends that are just an acquaintance. Yeah. You can just see. You don't even know his name. You don't even know her name. You don't even know where she was. You don't know much about her. Just wave, just smile. That's peripheral. So, but when you're talking about deep, this is somebody that knows you, that sees you. I've seen you in your worst days, seen you in your best days, and they still love you anyway. That's different. Once that is accomplished, that will be vulnerability. People become vulnerable. Like we used to say that there is no intimacy without vulnerability. You can't really talk about intimacy if you're not vulnerable with someone. And that's why a lot of people don't want to love, because love involves vulnerability. You need to be open. You need to open up. Like the Holy of Holies. There are different stages: the outer court, the inner court, and the Holy of Holies. Before anybody get to the Holy of Holies, which is a part in your heart that only God knows and yourself knows, the person needs to have been proven, and that's why that vulnerability. Then that creates disclosure, development of common reading. You see couples who have intimacy, they have a certain level of common reading. In other words, by just looking at each other, she knows what he's saying, he knows what she's saying, without even uttering a word. And based on that, they begin to build a common history and a common future. Common history in the sense that you begin to do a lot of things together. And so almost everything you see some input of your spouse, how they have helped, or how you have also helped them along the way. Okay, so for those of us here who used to have an intimate relationship, but for some reason you don't know what happened. So this also is the form of rejuvenation, where it's like trying to renew, spice it up again, bring the new zest into what you already have. Bring the new energy, youthful strength into what you already have. That brings me to the next slide. Example of marriage in need of intimacy. All right, some of these I've mentioned earlier on. Examples of marriage. So deep-rooted suspicion and sabotage. Sometimes one of the reasons why, how do you know when you're married with intimacy? Trust. And then somebody said it's one of the comments at the beginning. There's no trust. There's suspicion. To the point where you guys sabotage each other's efforts. So your spouse is sharing the dream that God's put in her heart, that she wants to achieve something, and then the guy is feeling threatened. It's feeling like, she too wants to write a book. No, are you sure you want to write a book? Who will read your book? You too want to be Amazon bestseller. Okay, that is really, really terrible. Really, really terrible. Living as roommates, and that's what I was talking about, just living at two parallel lives. So you're just like housemates, you're just sharing bills. Okay, what are the children? All right, this, all right, okay, yeah, see you later. Whatever, yeah. Perennial unforgiveness. The person has hurt you so much that you can't even remember the issues anymore, but you just remember how you feel. That's not very good. Yep. Constant conflict about a particular issue that refuses that have not been addressed. Just be having particular issue, repeatedly having the same experience over and over again. It's high time we worked on. I'm not saying people who have intimacy, they don't have issues. No. I mean that intimacy has a way of creating it's like a very good way to put it. During this pandemic, it's like intimacy gives you a jab. It gives you a jab that protects you to a large extent of the issues that comes around marriage. Because if you remember the scripture that says, he that builds his house upon a rock, and he that builds his house upon the sand, so the same thing comes against them. The wind came, the water flowed, everything. But the difference is that one is built upon a solid rock, upon the principle. That's what intimacy does. Every marriage in this room, every marriage on this planet go through challenges. It's natural. It's normal. You guys will disagree. You guys will have challenges thrown at you from outside. It might be not being able to have a child. We couldn't have a child for almost 8 years, and that brought a lot of intense pressure from outside. Right? There are many things that you can't control that you will experience. But when you are able to build intimacy to the point where your core is very tough, I like to use the example of the peach and the coconut. The coconut has a very tough exterior, but very hollow inside. So you see some marriages, they're very beautiful. They wear and co. They look, they smile. Oh, they hit each other. Oh, darling, oh, you're so funny. But inside, it's horrible. It's volcanic. People can't stay in their homes because it's the energy, the atmosphere is toxic. All right. I like the peach. It looks soft on the outside. They look malleable, but their core is very strong. That core is very tight. Those are the kind of couples that survive any form of attack from inside, from outside. And those are the couples who are able to become intimate. What the Bible says, naked and not ashamed. Where you can, TDJ could say intimacy is intimacy, where the person has seen the core of who you are and they accept you for who you are. Some of us, we have parents that never accepted us. They kept comparing us with our younger ones or with our elder ones or with our peer. They never accepted the fact that this is who I am. And so you go into marriage craving that. It's very important for us to be in a relationship with somebody that accepts you. That to say, although I married a woman that I want to be a boss lady at work, but I want to be an entrepreneur. Accept that reality about me and let's move on beyond this. Okay, I want a woman that will be an entrepreneur that will spend more time with the children. Accept the fact that I want to be at work. I want to go do 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever it is. Accept that fact. Okay, I want a woman who, when I tell him to sit here, she will tell her to sit here. She'll be there till tomorrow morning. Accept the fact that I am a woman that's a go-getter, that like to create change, that like to impact. Accept me. Acceptance is very powerful, but you must start by accepting yourself. Very important. There's an African proverb that says that the value you place on your wares is the value other people place on. All right, so you must start by accepting yourself. So why is intimacy or rejuvenating your marriage good for you? It's very, very healthy. Apart from it has spiritual impact. The scripture says that if you have an issue with your spouse, resolve it, otherwise your prayer will be hindered. That's a spiritual point of view. All right. It says, can two work together unless they are in agreement, unless they agree? So intimacy helps you to get one of the most powerful results-oriented prayer is prayer of agreement between husband and wife. Very dangerous. About 2 years ago or so, last year, I met a woman that said that if people understood, this woman is very wealthy, she's in this country, into real estate, She said to me one day when I was having a conversation with her, and she said, if people understand the power of agreements, husband and wife understand the power of agreements, that they will be out of poverty very fast. That everything they own today in a multi of hundreds of thousands of pounds, I don't know if it's millions now. He said, every time she agrees with her husband on anything, that it gets done like this, that people don't know how powerful this is. And you can't agree with somebody that you don't care about. You can't agree with somebody you don't have intimacy with. You can't agree with somebody just mentally. You need to agree at the level of, that's why I like, someone said, deep, unhindered connection. You can't agree. When you agree with someone that level of connection, it's very powerful. It's very powerful. Even some of you that are here that are coaches, you know those proteges that come to you, that they kind of connect. You have a certain connection with them. What happens? You pour more of yourself into them. Why? Because there's just something about them that pulls the best of you. You may be having, they may say, okay, can I just see you? Your plan will be like, no, I'm busy. Okay, I'm giving you 20 minutes. By the time you open your mouth to talk, the way they are demeanor, the way they interact with you, you just notice that 1 hour you are still talking with. How many of you have had that experience? Let me see in the comments. Yeah, you just notice that even though you plan just for a short time, you just notice that the person is just pulling something from you. You just feel there's a certain connection with this person, all right? And that's how, I don't recommend it, every child should be loved the same, but that's how some children just know how to connect to their parents' hearts, by just studying their parents and knowing how to pull that, all right? Very, very important. It helps you to live longer, because once you have, I read somewhere sometimes it said that a lot of the issues, health issues or challenges that people have is called their emotionally induced illnesses, emotionally induced. In other words, because people are stressed, people are feeling unheard, people are feeling unloved, people are feeling rejected, their immune system are impacted. When you're in an intimate relationship with your spouse, it's going to impact your immune system, going to impact your mental health, all right? They have fewer strokes, fewer heart attacks, all right? They are less likely to be depressed, because depression is a state that is triggered by a lot of these issues. Be less likely to have advanced cancer. I was surprised when I saw this, all right? Why? Because once you are in a loving, intimate relationship, your spouse is likely to notice the changes in you. I even stumbled over something that says that they are likely to survive, recover from operations faster. Why? Because you have a spouse that will be telling you, have you taken that medicine? Have you done this? You have to rest now. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have someone who is constantly being there for you to help you to be able to write. Okay? Are we learning anything so far? I can see a lot of people here. To be honest with you, women, I don't know what we can do without you guys. Well, because, like the Bible says that a wise woman keepeth at home. The way women go after information about relationship is profound. And that's why a lot of homes are not breaking up. I wish the men would be like that as well. Because sometimes you call a seminar about relationship, most men know what I'm talking about. You're talking about we should have. No. But you talk about business, finance, you see them all trooping in. But if your home is not tight, a lot of that business project they are chasing around, honestly. Thank you guys. Thank you for your feedback. So there are different phases of marriage. One is the romantic one, what most people call the honeymoon phase of marriage, where, boy meets boy, boy winks at boy, boy meets girl, boy winks at girl, girl smiles and they ask each other, how do you do? I love you. Yeah, that's the initial phase. I know it's not that dramatic, don't mind me. All right, so typically occurs prior to marriage, within the first few years of marriage, but I've observed that some people are able to sustain this even much longer, all right? But this is like the initial stage, all right, of relationship is by a man called Victor Williams Harris. Second stage is when disillusionment and distraction begin to unfold, where people begin to say, I didn't know that this marriage thing is working. The way Hollywood portrays it is that, you just stumble on each other, you guys just like each other, and then he's just looking at you and he's texting and he's bringing rose flower. Rose has seen something in this culture, and he's just loving. They don't tell you that you have to take out the trash, you have to do the cleaning, you have to distribute the chores, it doesn't tell you, and that's so a lot of people, who read a lot of, these novels, Mills and Bones, so those kind of novels that tell you a certain part of relationship. They don't tell you the other part of paying bills, those boring parts. And so when most people enter with the wrong expectation, they're like, is this what you have to do? Is this what marriage is about? I didn't know marriage was about it. So they are disillusioned, they are confused. They're like, if this is it. But those who are able to sustain, who are able to push through, like you guys are doing, who are able to attend seminars to be able to learn things they can do to improve intimacy. I didn't want to, intimacy has different, okay, I think I mentioned at the beginning, we have spiritual intimacy, emotional, sexual intimacy, but I'm just speaking intimacy generally. But when we have a more workshop, then we can now zero into sexual intimacy, to emotional intimacy, spiritual intimacy, financial intimacy. I think we'll have some of those videos on our YouTube, Foundation for Family Affairs. All right, so the third stage is for those who have been able to see, oh, is this what marriage entails? All right, but I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. A good example is a man I respect. His name is Fela Drotoye. Fela Drotoye, I think, came from a broken home. Tara, his wife, came from a broken home. But both of them decided that they are going to rewrite their family history, their family tree. Remember what I said at the beginning, who this is for? They decided that they're going to rewrite their family history. They're going to be that couple that will not break up and have a fantastic marriage. And today they're having a ball. People are inviting them to speak at different seminars. Why? So sometimes people will say, if you're from a broken home, you have a... No, it's not always true. It's not always true. Your background is not sufficient, like some will say in a colloquial term, to put your back on the ground. Your background should be a motivation for you to change things. It should be enough motivation. It should be, if you come out of poverty, it should be something that, it should be, instead of you looking at it as a disadvantage, it should be a field that will drive you to be able to make a change, to be able to leave an inheritance for your children. That's what the Bible says. A good person will leave an inheritance for children. You can't say, well, my parents did not give me anything, so I don't know, I'm already disadvantaged. No, that should be a motivation. Most of the billionaires we have today, they did not inherit their wealth. They built it from first generation, all right? So very important for you to think about that and begin to say how you can change your family tree as regarding relationship, all right? And begin to be that family where when people make inquiry, be like, that family, if they decide to marry, you are very lucky because they are different. They are upper echelon. They are this, their marriage last. You be the one that will write the family. Be that person, be that person in that family tree that will say, it stops with me, the box stops with me. Never again. It's not going to go down. I'm going to check it here. Okay? Be that individual. That's what I want to encourage you to do. Okay, so what impacts intimacy? There are different things that impact intimacy. Okay, so intimacy is impacted from different angles, sometimes internal. There is a post we have on our Instagram where we said a stressed couple is rarely a romantic couple, is rarely an intimate couple. When people are stressed, I remember a story some years ago that, this couple, this was back in Lagos, in Africa. And then this woman, she'll come back from work stressed. Your wife, husband will come back from work stressed, and they were just, going on and on at each other. Just the environment was toxic, and she wasn't enjoying, she wasn't having the best experience ever, and she just wondering, what is all this? Until she changed job, or no, she didn't change job. They relocated closer to where they worked. And so just about 10 minutes drive, she's at work, 10 minutes drive, she's at home. And then she'll go home, relax, she would have a nice time, the husband too. And she was like, I didn't know that my character was good like this. She was saying to her mentor, I didn't know I have such a good character. Why? Stress brings out the worst in people. When people are stressed, what happens? Their fuse get easily blown. They are irritable, all right? They snap. They are less likely to listen, and listening is therapeutic. It helps you to connect, see? So they are less likely to pay attention. They are more critical, all right? They are more likely to look out for what is wrong with people or what's wrong with things. Stress. Some of you are working so hard because of the debt that you are under. God will deliver you from this debt so that you can get your life back. Some of you are under intense level of pressure because your spouse is not pulling their weight, because you are the one who is bringing all the income. God will stand up for you and give you a kind of job whereby, not just job, opportunities that will open massive doors to you, whereby you'll be able to rest. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, in vain it is for people to wake up early and going home late, eating the bread of sorrow, because God gives his children peace or rest. God will give you that opportunity that will help you to be able to look after your needs. He said, being with all sufficiency, having your needs met. That's the way that scripture is and then having more to even be a blessing. All right. After a while, your story will be the story of those people who are helping others. The Bible says that we'll be able to comfort others with the same comfort that we have been comforted. All right. Stress is a terrible thing. All right. So you see women who are, when they are stressed, you see pimple all over their face. It's not that they are not beautiful, just stress. Just stress. When stress is on you, you begin to see your skin begin to break up. All right. There are different things that causes stress. All right. So sometimes unaddressed trauma. So maybe you were raped when you were a little girl and you discussed with your mom, but she never believed you. You don't realize that trauma is still with you. So you can't really build real intimacy with somebody. So your husband is trying to connect with you, but you've seen your own mother, your own birth mother treat you like that. It's difficult for you to trust. You seem to build better relationship with people who are not family, who are acquaintances, than people who are family. It's because you have not healed from that trauma. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says, God binds the broken hearted. He heals. So God does not just heal physical. I know that's one that gets seen on TV when people are doing miracles. But God also heals emotional wounds. He said, I will give you the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Heaviness is an emotional state. All right. God heals. He said, I will bind the broken heart. A broken heart is an emotional state. You don't see anybody bleeding, but the person is feeling hurt within. God will heal that. Honestly, God will heal that. And if you might want to get a professional, a therapy, see a therapist to be able to help you. All right, so that you can walk past that thing that is blocking you from experiencing intimacy. Right? It's like when we work with singles, we notice that some singles, the reason why they're not attracting eligible bachelors is because they've not emotionally created a safe space for any man to come and stay. All right, they are showing the effort. Oh, I want to be there. They are attending all they're trying to meet, but emotionally, psychologically, and emotionally, they are not ready for the adjustment that the relationship brings to their life. So without knowing, they are repelling eligible men, and then be like, oh well, if you love me, you stay anyway. Then they carry on the same cycle over and over again. So we usually say to singles that if something happens once, okay, maybe that's just something that happened. It happened a second time, all right, that's it. If it happened a third time, it means there is a law at work that keeps reproducing that effect. That's an experience with different men, because you are the common denominator in this relationship. All right, so if someone is complaining about something, you're a married woman, or someone is complaining about something, your spouse, your parents were complaining about something, then you got married, your husband is complaining about that thing, then somebody else at work is complaining about, you are the common denominator. You have to fix that issue. Otherwise, it will grow bigger and go out of proportion. Sometimes, one of the reasons why people go through are unable to connect because they're going through big life crisis. Some men, they just hit that phase in their life where they begin to ask themselves, is this all? How did I even get here? I'm the father of 3 children. Okay, yeah. Is this all? The dream they had as a little boy, they are unable to achieve it. So they become irritable. They're just angry with everybody, not with you. They're just angry with anything, and then because they are feeling anger towards themselves. So they're just, usually when people misbehave or, emotionally, what happens is the people closest to them that experiences it. All right. When mommy is not happy, the whole house is not happy. When daddy is not happy, the whole house is the people in their immediate constituents that feel the brunt of that. All right. So they are looking for a sense of meaning. Sometimes these are the reasons. So a woman may be here to say, I've done everything to reach out to him, but it's not connected. It might not be you. It might just be him. It might be stress. It might not be. It might be unhindered. It might be unaddressed trauma in his childhood. All right. So you have to pray for him. You have to encourage him to seek help. Because usually men don't like to seek help. They like to do this macho thing. I don't know. That's why the life expectancy between men and women are not. Men are often lower. Most surveys you see around. Why? Most men bottle emotion within. They don't seek for help, or the things go out of hand. For example, you are driving You can see him, he has missed the first turn. You are telling him, this is no, we have passed here before. He's telling you, I know what I'm doing. Uncle, seek help. Let them help you. You know, everything is not about ego. So those are some of the issues. Some women also have egos as well. They can listen to any other person outside the home, but once their husband says something, it's going to be a bad idea because he is the one that said it. But if that idea comes from somewhere else, oh, this is the best idea since sliced bread, they jump at it with both hands. That is a very destructive way to treat your man. Very destructive way. Once he spots it, you're going to be pushing him out, that you know. All right, so external. What are some of the external things that can impact routines? All right, trust. Someone posted it at the beginning. When you are in a relationship where you don't even trust each other. All right. Someone says being in a relationship without trust, like using a phone without internet and without network. You're just playing. You can't even play games, but these days, to play games, you have to have internet on the phone. It's not those 3310 kind of games now. All right. So very important for you to build trust. All right. How do you build trust? There is a natural trust that's given that people just give to you. Your husband gives to you, expects you to be trustworthy. All right. There is a trust that needs to be earned. All right. That one by, for example, when you have his back, when your sister is coming at him and you have his back, you say, even though you've not spoken to him, you defended him, and then you came back to him to ask him questions. You've just gotten a tick. Now, man, this is a lady that I trust her. So much later he hears something, I just think, no, let me have a chat with her. I know that I've proven her on this issue. There are some people that probably you work with, or your colleagues or your siblings in your family. If you have a large family, you know your sibling, the one that if you give them money, 20 years from now, you're asking for that money, they will give you exact notes without anything taken out of it. I'm sure some of you know them. But there are some siblings that once you give them money, their belief system around money is that whether it's my money or somebody else's money, as long as I have not without money, that's my own goal. You have such siblings, yeah? So what you've known them over a period of time that this one on this issue, it can be trusted. Those one may have something that they do that, whereby if somebody is challenging your family house, you know that this is the crazy one that will come out. That's an African proverb that says that even a crazy person in family have their usefulness. When nobody will be able to come out to fight, they are the ones that will come out and defend, where the rest of you who are wearing tie and suits will not be able to do anything. So sometimes we have to be able to build trust. Very, very important for you to build trust. Don't just assume. Prove to your spouse that you can be trusted. I can see somebody laughing. Hey, Bola. Bola Thomas, very important, very, very important for you to consciously build trust on issue of money, because this is one of these where people the intimacy becomes fragmented because you can't be trusted with money. The moment they leave money with you, or your credit card, their credit card or their debit card touches your hand, that's Dorothy Perkins stuff that you want to buy. That's it. What's the Ted Baker shoe? That you have been looking at. Anytime you see like this, your eye just goes like this. That's just go chum. So ability to have that control. After a while, your spouse just trusts you. I was at somewhere, I don't know, was it a marriage seminar? Yeah, it was supposed to be a marriage seminar, but it kind of, one guy just came and just released virus. By virus, I mean heretic concept. He said something, he said, I can never, the man was saying, allow my wife to know how much I earn. That sounded so strange to me, so spooky. Because my wife has access to my account. She's a third party, she has a third party access to my account. In fact, she does all the distribution and everything in that's just the way it runs in her own home. So when I was hearing that, I was like, what's the rationale behind that? Sometimes, because of the example you are seeing, remember what I said, changing your family tree. It doesn't matter where you started from. You may have come from a polygamous family. And with a polygamous family, you saw through many vices, you saw through many things that, like, man, I don't want to reproduce this. That's not enough. You now begin to unlearn. Someone said, what the name of the man that said, the illiterate of the future will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Learn first, unlearn what you have already learned. So if you have learned a bad way, it's like someone who is teaching you how to drive in a third world country. If you come to this country, you bring that mindset, you get big points, big kurodo points on your license. All right. So what do you have to do when you come to this environment? Now have to unlearn that crazy driving you're driving in a third world country, because this is a civilized environment. Now you relearn the highway code. Some of us did not even read the highway code when we learned how to drive in a third world country. We just learned it anyhow. One auntie was available, or one uncle was available, just taught you how to drive. Just move, back. You started driving. Here, can't do that. All right, so we have to unlearn. Another thing that impacts is different vision. The word division, if you bring it together, die is two, vision. So when the husband has a certain belief system around an issue, the wife has a different belief system, their expectations are not in alignment, everybody just doing their own thing. So they're not even connecting. All right, they're married, they have the certificates, but they're not connected. There's no connection. That's not intimacy, that's not external. Okay? Please, if you have any question, post it in the comment section. I will try and answer them at the end, or I plan to have some time for Q&A. Okay? So, case studies session. All right, and I want everybody to please interact. We're going to be, looking at names and also asking people to contribute. So I'm going to share some ideas. I'll share some ideas that we can all throw together. You can rub minds on ways where you can actually work and help you. So 7 ways to spice up intimacy. I missed in your marriage. Number 1, daily write 5 qualities. All right, things that you are grateful for in your spouse, and compare the note with him or her at the end of the week. See, this right here it can be very challenging when you've got to that point where you're feeling resentful. You are resenting your spouse. But let me tell you something about a lot of you here are in the coaching session, in the coaching space, and a lot of you run businesses, so you deal with people at a very high level. So you will understand what I'm talking about. In terms of when you come to that point where when you begin to notice something negative about somebody without you realizing it, if you focus on that, that's the only thing you're going to see. It's a mystery, and God gave us that gift. It's a gift of focus. Once you focus on something, it expands. Another way I'm going to say that is this: whatever car you're driving now, or any laptop you're using, or any particular gadget or anything you spent money on recently, before you decided to buy that, all right, maybe you weren't noticing it, but the moment you made up your choice, talk about the brand, and you begin to notice it almost everywhere. What happened? The brain, I think it's something called reticular articulating system. What happened, the moment you decide that this is important, the brain will open up and accommodate that information. What do I mean? Maybe about 1 billion piece of data run through your mind on a daily basis, but that's too much for your brain to process. So what the brain does is to kind of do pre-selection, only select information you have already triggered or you've already sent messages to the brain that are important. Those are the only information that you let in. So the moment you say, I like this car, this color, this brand, automatically you begin to notice, but those cars have always been around, but you've never noticed them. I'm sure some of you understand. If you understand what I'm saying, type in the comment section, yes or no. All right? You begin to notice it. So the moment you begin to decide, this one, thank you, my amazing friend. This one is one thing that you can do. Don't say in your head, oh, he's not going to do it. Oh, he won't bother. Oh, that's one. You don't know my husband. That guy is the most difficult person. Hey, it wasn't difficult when you met him. So maybe there is something about you that turns people into difficult people. All right. So you might want to get to that point where you say, you know what? All right. Forget the fact that I'm right, he's wrong. Let me try this, that this gentleman is saying. Let me see what I can do. 5 qualities that you are grateful for. Anthony Robbins says something that the emotion of gratitude is one of the most powerful force. Once you are grateful about something, you can't be angry about that thing at the same time. I had a single person that we worked with some years ago, This lady was in love with this guy. I mean, when a woman loves, the love, she was in love with him to the point where she was blinded by a lot of the errors, a lot of the red flags. She was going to marry him. And then the guy was just playing that. The next thing, the guy took her money and then went on and married somebody else. Somebody showed her, because the guy was overseas, she was back in Africa, showed her his wedding card. She almost passed out. I mean, they've gone so far that they have done introduction. I'm not sure if they've done it, but she had bought wedding gowns. She told me she had bought wedding gowns and all that. And she was in bitterness when she confided. She was very bitter towards him. So what did we tell her? We started working with her. But one of the things that we told her to do was to pray for the guy and bless him. She said, no, over my dead body. She complained and complained and complained. She said, Coach, I can do any other thing. See, this one, I will never do it. I said, you have to do it. You have signed to enroll on this coaching program. All right? We kept pushing, and then I told her to a point, I said to her, I said, you know what? I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to refund your money. That's when she woke up. Okay, I'm going to do it. And she started praying for him. She woke up in the morning, she would declare. She said she cried like a baby for days, until she got to that point where, as she was doing it, she wasn't feeling that pain anymore. She started feeling the different emotion. She started feeling, she said, I told her, pray for him that it will be well with him. Your child, you have children, you will prosper, you will excel. This thing you've done will not turn out evil again. I'm telling you, those are some very powerful words. By the time she was done, she was a completely different person. Her emotion had shifted. And guess what? She got to the point where she met two amazing guys that her issue now became, who should I choose? What I'm trying to say is that you might think you are living with the most difficult human being on earth. When you begin to bless that man to the point whereby there is that resentment in your heart, you'll be challenged. You'll be like, he's going to do it again tomorrow. So why am I wasting my time? Just keep doing it. Look for something that you are grateful for and begin to do it. You'll be shocked how your emotion will shift. And the more what you see, the positive things will begin to magnify. But that's a law. It's a law of focus. Number 2, make a list of how you want to add value to each other's lives. Very important, right? Since the guys are not here, so I'm focusing on the ladies. Make a list of how am I going to add value to him? Is he in HR? Okay, how am I going to support him? Am I going to buy a book for him? Am I going to recommend this course for him? Am I going to link him to this mentor? What exactly am I going to do to support his advancement in life? You see, when God wanted to discipline Adam, what did he do? It cost the work of his hands. When he wanted to discipline a woman, it touched her relationship. He said, there will be I'll put a enmity between you and, but the guy said, you shall walk. So if you want to get a man's attention, talk about his work, talk about his productivity, all right? Talk about, things that has to do with a sense of identity. You will get his attention. So if you support him in that area, I'm telling you, that is a very good one. Okay. Number 3, have an open communication. I think one person said it when we were giving input about the case study. Have an open communication session. Voice your frustration in a polite way. Polite is very important because packaging enhances value. All right. There is something about how you pack. I know this is easier said than done, especially for someone who is stressed. There's a quote I posted on my WhatsApp status. I said, I think the author said, don't trust your mouth until your heart is in a good place, until your heart is healed. All right? Don't have an open communication until you are healed. All right? Otherwise, you're going to spew out bitterness and venom. Okay? So you might want to do the first one first, do the second one before you do the third one, of course. But sometimes you have to sit with those two until your heart is in a good place before you have a conversation. Okay, so don't have a conversation when you are still bitter and you are resentful. You will come out wrong without even knowing because you have been overwhelmed by that pain. Okay, number 4, choose and do one fun activity. All right, so maybe he loves to watch football. You hate football. I don't like football, but if my wife likes football, I'm going to do it and have things my wife likes. I try to get involved. All right, why? It's not about the game. It's about the opportunity to connect. That is more important. All right, so a lot of you here, you have teenage children that you drive around basketball. You don't even know how basketball plays. What do? You drive in anyway. It helps you to connect because, and then sometimes it's just your duty. You do it. Why can't you do it for your spouse? It's watching these Arsenal people or Manchester United or Man City or whatever club he supports. Buy a jersey and roots in that what will get his attention, right? If you want, let me tell you one thing I found out that if you really want to find, someone said, I think what Fela Doche said, an excuse is a good reason for a bad result. An excuse is a good reason for a bad result. So if you keep giving an excuse, you are giving a good reason for a bad result. You keep having the same result over and over again. All right. And someone said you can't have both. You can't have result and excuse at the same time. You have to choose one. If you keep choosing an excuse that I can't do this because, I can't do this because, I can't do this because, you keep having the same experience. Number 6, get involved in each other's lives. All right. Get involved in it. Find out what is happening at work. Talk to him. Find out. I remember my wife is a practicing solicitor in the UK, and there are movies that I intentionally watch because I want to understand how they think, because I want to be able to, when she's telling me I need to do a covering letter or I need to do this, she's using those terms, I understand why, because I'm deliberate about getting to her world, so that you don't get to that point where as your spouse is, she wants to explain something to you, but no, you can't get it. That's not a very good compliment. All right. Get into your spouse's world, understand the lingo, understand the language, understand the terminology, understand the changes happening in that industry, so that you can flow at a certain mental intimacy level, Very important. Go on vacation together. Leave all this noise and the type. African people, we don't like vacation. Hey, some people will even do anything but go for vacation because we have been programmed to our head. That working hard is what produces results. There was a time that was okay during the industrial era. Now, it's those who are knowledgeable, the wisest, and those who are able to, those are the people who are getting results. The richest people are people who are dealing with information is a new gold. All right. So it's no longer the hard worker, the one that can work hard, that can work. There's a principle called leverage. Use small energy to get big results. All right. Not that energy. At the end of the day, the person has burnt out. They don't have anything to leave for their children. That's not a very good thing. Okay. Let's work smart this year.